game industry has given us a lot over the years, managing to pack countless thrills and unforgettable moments onto those humble, shiny discs and unassuming chunky cartridges. However, at some point we gamers decided that discs and cartridges alone were not enough to keep us happy, and we demanded more. Thus, the Collector's Edition was born. We've spoken about bizarre Collector's Editions before, highlighting some of the most outrageous oddities that developers have seen fit to shove in a box and charge a few extra quid for, but it seems like there are even more examples out there to talk about. As such, we found another 10 strange and interesting collectibles for your perusal, and we're about to display them, like some kind of museum of abnormal artifacts from gaming's past. So join us as we look at some examples of developers and publishers deciding that a decent hardcover art book and a good quality figure of some kind just wouldn't cut it, and decided to think outside the box about what to put inside the box. I'm Ashton from TripleJump, and here are 10 more of the weirdest video game collector's editions. Number 10, Marvel Vs Capcom Infinite. The Infinity Stones, powerful cosmic gems that have existed since time immemorial. These artifacts have been sought after by countless galactic beings, and when brought together have the power to alter existence itself. With all of that going for them, you'd expect these incalculably valuable treasures to be pretty impressive in the flesh. But if the collector's edition of Marvel vs Capcom Infinite is to be believed, they kind of look like cheap plastic Easter decorations. This crossover fighting game was released in 2017, and prior to launch, promotional shots of its collector's edition promised 4 snazzy figurines and a delightful display case containing glowing replicas of the Infinity Stones. The reality was notoriously less impressive, with said stones resembling brightly coloured eggs. You can't even remove them from the display case, so some crowd-pleasing Infinity egg juggling was out of the question too. While the figurines were fine, those who paid around the $200 mark in the hope of displaying the fabled Infinity Stones in a splendid case were left with something far less impressive looking. Seriously, just look at them. Do those things really look like they could wipe out half of the galaxy? Maybe a quarter, tops. Number 9, Resident Evil 6. Leon S. Kennedy is a pretty cool guy, right? This hardened zombie survivor has been around since 1998's Resident Evil 2 and has built up quite the fan base in the Resident Evil community. Of course, his good looks, heroic escapades, and penchant for showing up in all-time classic games are the main contributors to his legendary status, but we are sure that Leon's fashion sense has something to do with it too. Whether he's sporting a sheepskin leather bomber jacket in Resident Evil 4 or rocking the RCPD uniform in Resident Evil 2, he's always looking suave. And if you ever wanted to borrow some of that drip for yourself, then Capcom have got you covered. The Resident Evil 6 Collector's Edition came with an actual leather jacket, just like the one Leon sports in the game. Coming in at almost £1,000, this Collector's Edition featured a replica of Leon's in-game jacket, made from high-quality leather and featuring the Division of Security Operations logo on the inside. This expensive bit of gamer apparel can be worn at parties, weddings, funerals, or even when just popping to the shops. The real leather finish also makes it zombie scratch resistant and easy to wipe down if you get mutagenic toxins or rotting brain matter on it. An absolute must for travel in Raccoon City. Number 8, Dead Rising 2. Let's keep the zombie theme going for a bit longer with another Capcom published undead 'em up, Dead Rising 2. Following on from its popular predecessor, Dead Rising 2 saw players assume the role of Chuck Green, a former motocross rider who finds himself in the middle of a zombie outbreak in Nevada. During the game, Chuck must fight off hordes of zombies with various improvised weapons, all while ensuring his infected daughter receives regular doses of Zombrex, keeping her from joining the ravenous horde. Dead Rising 2's Collector's Edition is called the Zombrex Edition, and seems fairly low-key and unassuming at first, featuring an art book, a steelbook case, and a pen. It's when you inspect the latter of the two items more closely that you begin to realise that this particular collector's edition belongs on this list, if only for the peculiar looks you might get if you use it in public. The steelbook is made to look like a prescription box, and the eccentrically designed pen looks rather convincingly like a syringe, complete with suspicious looking fluid inside. Just to fully complete the illusion, it actually came with a little Zombrex sticking plaster too. Go on, produce this pen from your pocket at meetings and see how many startled looks you get. Number 7, Mortal Online. Mortal Online was an MMORPG that gave players a chance to explore a fantastical world, engaging in combat with other players and vacuuming up loot as they went. As far as collector's editions go though, the loot on offer left much to be desired. Coming in at around €100, the Mortal Online Collector's Edition, known as the Full Loot Bag Edition, came in a small sack and featured a number of dodgy pewter figures, an art book, and a steel case with room for an extra disc that didn't exist. To fully express why this collector's edition made our list though, we have to go back to the art book. I'm sure you've all flicked through one before, and whether it was small or large, you probably found that most of the art book pages featured, well, art. Not so with Mortal Online, as most of the pages in this art book were blank. I suppose the developers might argue that it was more of a journal for players to record their antics in the game world. But would it really have been that difficult to shove a bit more concept art in there and offer a little more value for money? I'll just have to add my own art, I suppose. Now, where did I put my colouring pencils? Number 6, Dark Souls 3. In the Dark Souls series, the Estus Flask is an invaluable tool. A small receptacle containing a health-renewing Estus brew, these consumables can be collected at bonfires, and to go into battle without them in the unforgiving world of Dark Souls is to invite failure. When the Estus Flask edition was announced for Dark Souls 3, many series enthusiasts were looking forward to the chance to possess an Estus Flask of their own. Innocent young minds were filled with ideas of decanting their favourite beverage into their snazzy new flask and taking a swig partway through a tough day, feeling refreshed and ready to fight like their in-game avatar after imbibing some healing Estus. Alas, such hopes were dashed when people bought their Estus Flask editions home from the shops and actually opened them, as the Estus Flask in question was little more than a solid lump of green plastic shaped like the in-game consumable. Yes, like other collector's editions fluid receptacles before it, this fluid receptacle was incapable of receiving any fluid. If you want a gaming collector's edition with something in it you can actually drink from, we recommend the Yakuza 6 Premium Edition with its pair of bar glasses. Very tasteful. Number 5, NBA 2K10. NBA 2K10 was released back in 2009 across multiple formats, and was the 11th game in the 2K Sports long-running highly rated basketball series. Now, as you're probably aware, sports games aren't really known for their over-the-top collector's editions, but that didn't stop NBA 2K from having a crack at it, and the result is a game that came in a locker, the likes of which you might find in a sports arena changing room. So I'm told, anyway. I'm not really the sort of person that frequents such establishments. This sizable locker came with a poster and a figurine depicting basketball star Kobe Bryant, and the locker itself contained handy shelves for you to slide your games into, fitting 25 standard-sized game cases. Alas, at the time of recording, only 24 NBA 2K games have been released, and even fewer of those have come in boxes that would actually fit in the locker, so you'll have to stick a few Madden or NHL games in there to make up the numbers. Still, the locker does come with a combination lock to make sure no one can get to your precious ball-bouncing video games but you. It's just as well, really. Those yearly sports releases go up in value, you know. Number 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Hey you! Do you like going for walks in the dark? Are you fed up of walking into signposts, tripping over low hedges, or stepping in dog poo? Then boy do we have the collector's edition for you. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 released in 2009 to great fanfare, and followed the story of Captain Soap McTavish and friends as they hunt down the nefarious Makarov. One piece of equipment that's particularly evocative of the kind of special operations Mr. McTavish finds himself wrapped up in came packaged with the prestige edition of the landmark shooter, a set of working night vision goggles. That's right, slap this piece of Call of Duty branded military tech on your head and you're free to explore the local countryside in the dark without fear of falling into a crevasse or being surprised by a wayward cow. Wait a minute, it's just occurred to me that torches exist, and that most mobile phones are able to double as flashlights too. That means the only reason anyone would need to use the night vision goggles to walk around at night would be if they didn't want to be seen themselves. What are you up to, Call of Duty players? Number 3, Bully. If you're dreaming up the contents for a collector's edition for a game that was predominantly set in a school, what kind of collectibles might you consider adding? A pencil case or stationery set with the school's logo emblazoned upon it, maybe? How about a framed qualification certificate from the school you could put up on your wall to confuse visitors? Well, back in 2006, Rockstar decided they would give their players an excuse to keep active, and included a Bullworth Academy branded dodgeball in their Bully Collector's Edition. Coming in a snazzy case that looks like a Bullworth Academy locker, the collector's collector's edition for Rockstar's highly rated School Life Simulator also included a limited edition comic book. But the main event was the high-quality piece of sports equipment, tailor-made to be used as a projectile in the grand tradition of dodgeball. As such, this collector's edition sits comfortably in the very niche subsection of collector's editions, with physical content that you're fully expected to throw at other people, alongside Rage 2's wing stick, and that's about it, I think. Then again, I suppose that anything is throwable if you pick it up and throw it. Maybe that's what the Estus flask was actually meant for. Number 2, Cyber Troopers Virtual On Force. We've got a couple of Japanese exclusive collector's editions to round out this list now, starting with this little gem for the Xbox 360's iteration of Sega's one-on-one mech fighter series, Virtual On. In Cyber Troopers Virtual On Force, the player takes control of one of a number of gigantic mechs and engages in mech battles across various arenas, unleashing spectacular ranged and close combat attacks in a bid to outmaneuver and overpower foes. You'd expect a collector's edition of one of the games to come with a cool figure of one of the mechs maybe, or a pilot helmet like Titanfall 2. Well no, this collector's edition came with eyes. Let me explain that a little better. These orbs that were included in the so-called Memorial Box 15 resemble the eyes of Tangram, an omniscient alien supercomputer that appears as the antagonist throughout the series and is thought to have reality-defying powers. You'd think that a collectible that represents this being would come in the form of a cool-looking model that lights up ominously or something. But no! These are bouncy balls. You know, of the type your cat might chase down the stairs. Such disrespect to intergalactic sentient super-intelligence isn't going to end well, you know? And number 1, Rez. Classified as a musical rail shooter, Synesthesia Simulator Rez is already a fairly unusual game without taking into consideration any special edition add-ons. Originally released on the Dreamcast, this Sega-published experience was later released for the PS2, and Japanese PS2 owners could purchase a special edition that came with a very interesting peripheral. They called it the Trance Vibrator. Now, before you start giggling in the back there, I think it's somewhat fair to assume that the intentions behind this special edition were somewhat innocent. As already mentioned, Rez is a game that is focused on the way the player and the environment interact with the music, and the Trance Vibrator is intended to augment that feeling by vibrating along with the game's soundtrack. Where are you expected to place this add-on to best feel its effect? Well, that would be up to you to experiment, I suppose. In the end, though, we have to praise Rez for attempting to pack in a bit of special edition content that was actually designed to enhance the gameplay experience rather than just sit on a shelf, whilst also acknowledging that this particular peripheral could enhance your evening in various other ways as well. Should we just leave it at that, yeah?